And now, here's your host. And now, here's your host.
Good evening, all, or should I say good morning? It's 12:49 a.m. It's Monday, October 2nd, 2017. Boy, this year is flying by. I hope you enjoyed my little genre of music there. Unfortunately, we had quite a few technical difficulties, but hopefully we won't have any more tonight. Again, broadcasting to you live from San Antonio. We're going to have a talk about the elderly and our loved ones. That although sometimes we don't mean to forget about them, but we do. Our lives are busy. We work, we have careers, we have kids of our own. It's not intentional. It really isn't. They get old. They don't mean to. It just happens. Unfortunately, at that time, sometimes they get sick. Unfortunately, there's awful things that happen to them. They get Alzheimer's, dementia, arthritis, some of it rheumatoid, and it can be very crippling and very painful and very hard and sad to watch, especially for their daughter, their son, even the grandkids, granddaughters, doesn't matter. It's hard. I speak from experience. My dad's mom and her sister, they lived together for 13 years. God bless their soul, they both lived to be 90. And may they rest in peace until I get there. And boy, oh boy. But anyway, here's the thing. They both lived to be 90. My grandmother, my dad's mom was in better health maybe than my aunt was, but she had arthritis. And I had a friend that had rheumatoid arthritis. She was also diabetic. This is a little something about me. You don't know this, but in my process of doing home health care and taking care of other people, I started by taking care of family. My family was a bunch of sickos, let me tell you. And not the type of sickos you think I'm talking about. I'm talking about arthritis. My mom had bleeding ulcers, migraine headaches. You name it, she had it. Okay? My dad was too lost in the liquor bottle to figure it out, so that's another story. That's over and past, you know. Unfortunately, my family's all passed away. But, you know, not very many people get blessed with friends that have families that accept you as their family and take you in like I had. Although it's very awkward when that person, I mean, yeah, I know her. I've known her since 88, 89. We were in high school together. Of course, a lot of my friends are back from then, too. But the point is this family didn't have to accept me. They didn't have to take me in. They didn't have to help me. But they did. You know, back then everything seemed so easy. We didn't have to worry about our elderly being taken advantage of or abused or stolen from or anything else. Me as a care provider makes me look bad because although I wouldn't steal, I sure as hell wouldn't lie to anybody. I mean, my whole thing is I don't get rich doing home health care. I don't get rich, doing any of it. I do it because I care. I do it because it's something the Lord's put on my heart to do. It's something that I can say I accomplished in a day. There's a lot to say when you accomplish a week, a month, 6 months, a year. But if you've been doing it off and on as long as I have, like for 10 years, it gets more and more heartbreaking. That's all you see on the news about nurses or orderlies or nursing homes, or you hear about these old people being mistreated, or their families, they don't live close enough to go visit them. They're lonely. I encourage everybody, if they can, to keep their elderly at home. It really does help them and give them a reason to get up each morning. I speak from experience. You guys may not believe me. You guys may think I'm nuts. And I probably am. It's just not certifiable yet. But here's the thing. I get it. We have families, kids, careers, little leagues, whatever. Who knows? Maybe you got social events you go to when they're off, or who knows? Maybe you're getting ready to plan a family trip or something. I don't know. But just remember one thing, guys. This isn't my total thing I want to speak about. There's so many things going on now. Not just in our lives, in the United States, in the country. There's a lot of disasters. There's a lot of people that are without. A lot of people that live in makeshift shelters, makeshift homes, apartments, wherever they can find. Wherever they can find to lay their head. Wherever they can find a place so their kids can get educated. I talk about education. I talk about our kids. I talk about our families a lot. You know why? Because they're important. Our next generation growing that's being educated now is all so important. It's not just important to a man, it's important to a woman, a grandmother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, whoever. But it's still important because they're the ones that are going to be here after we're gone. They're the ones that are going to be joining and being part of the military. They're the ones that are going to be defending this country after we're all passed away. And we go home to be with the Lord. And we all will go home to be with the Lord. But first, you got to accept Him. And you can't do that if you're too busy. Because He's never too busy for you, or me, or anybody else. So, why don't we get unbusy for a minute? And although I'm not saying that you should stay unbusy and just flop on the couch and let moss grow underneath your butt, because that won't help either. Okay? We have time, or we can make time. It's important that we make time. Even if we feel it's a pain in the butt. Even if we feel that we're being overbearing, or overprotective, or too coddling to our children. Maybe we are. Maybe we're wrong in that respect. But if it doesn't affect your kids' social life, like when they go to school to socialize with kids of their own age, how is it really harmful? If they're not being made fun of or bullied, and that's another thing. What is it with bullying? Peer pressure. These are all things kids have to deal with every day. They have to deal with this. They have to live with it. They have to make choices just like we did. Some are good, some are bad. But we all have to make them. Make them every day to get up out of bed. Every day to go to work. Every day to, come home. It's hot out. It's hot in the house. You don't want to cook. You're tired. It happens. I'm one of them. Back when my mom used to work, she used to work. My dad, hey, even the co-host of the show. I mean, she's the best thing that's ever happened to me, Diane. I couldn't ask for a better friend. Couldn't ask for a better person. One that's down to earth, that doesn't steal, that doesn't lie, doesn't play head games. And she's not mean to people. Unless she's pushed into a corner, then she does come back. She does. She defends herself, and she should. Just like I should. You should. Everybody should if they're pushed into a corner. But most people won't. Some kids, even adults, don't. They think it's okay. They feel it's okay to be talked to and made fun of and, laughed at. They had it so much in school, so they said, why not do it as an adult too? Why not put up with it? We say that nobody's going to listen anyway, right? Nah. Has anybody ever tried to speak up, though? No. And that's the problem. Nobody speaks up in this world. Nobody wants to get involved. Nobody wants to say anything. Nobody wants to have a conversation. What are you afraid of? You're not afraid of listening to podcasts or past podcasts or repeats of a podcast that you may not have heard before. I mean, I'm not downing you guys, but you need to understand that I'm only saying these things because I want to help. The times are coming. Times are getting harder. Our military is being stretched. Our Red Cross is being stretched. Our FEMA people are being stretched. There's so much horrible disaster. So many people being killed. So many cars being in accidents on highways. Here in San Antonio alone, over 2,773 people have been killed in traffic accidents this year alone. That's double what we had last year and the year before that. That's not saying anything good either. That's a lot of loss of life. Some of those loss of life were children. It's just like house fires, hurricanes, tornadoes. They're horrible. It's almost like getting old. There's nowhere to go, nowhere to get away from it, nowhere to hide. You know what they say? You can't run from yourself. Well, it's just like Mother Nature. You can't run from her either. She seems to be just as mean and just as ornery as anybody else or anything else that we go through in life. But none of us stop to realize that until it's all gone. And who do we blame? We blame God. We blame our husbands. We blame our girlfriends, our fiancés, whoever. Hell, blame the dog. What the heck? Blame your cat. Can't defend itself. Why not? Although, we're heartbroken if something happens to them. Or we're heartbroken if they're in the hospital. Or we don't know what to do if they're on life support. Do we? Well, we do. But we don't know how to make that decision. It's too hard. And I know that because I've had to do it many, many times. I have sat with a lot of elderly people when they've died. I sat there and held their hand. I sat there and talked to them. It's heartbreaking to see. It's even more heartbreaking when they die alone in some cold hospital bed, nursing home. Although sometimes those are important and needed, and that's the only place your loved ones can be because it's safer to a point. But do you really know what goes on in those nursing homes? Do you really want me to tell you? It'd make your ears bleed. It'd make you cry. It'd appall you. Here in San Antonio, they have an all F rating. That's the lowest grade you can get in a nursing home. That is poor service, staff, cleanliness, anything you can think of. It rates low. I wouldn't put my dog in one myself, or my cat. I fight daily, weekly, monthly, yearly for the last 10 years to keep elderly in their own homes because it gives them a reason to get up. When you get old, you got to find a reason to get up. A good reason, and even then, you got to find another reason to do it. There's a reason to do it. I speak from experience, they die 6 months sooner than they normally would if you would have left them in their own home and hired a care provider like me that cares. That's not after dead presidents to line his wallet with, although it does help pay the bills. Rent, electric, buy food, all those horrible things we've got used to doing as kids. We grew up and wanted to do as adults. But we just don't know. We just don't know. And I don't know if anybody's even listening, but if you are, I implore you to download this. Catch it on demand. Call and ask me questions. I can answer a lot of questions. You may not think so. Why don't you give me a chance? I dare you. I challenge you if you have a question. I challenge you to become part of this podcast. I challenge you to ask me a question. Ask me any question you want. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to find it for you. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm not going to play head games with you. Give me a shot. I've played other podcasts you guys listen, and I appreciate that. I like that. But I'd like it more if you'd be a part of this podcast. Give me some ideas. If you want to talk about something, the airway